y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I have a Bible journal process video for you. I am working through the devotional For the Glory of God from By the Well for God, and I am on day 5 where we are reflecting on what is God's glory, what glory means in our culture today, and what it is meant to mean in the Bible. So I'm actually going to work in the book of Revelation. This is an illuminated scripture journal, and I am in Revelation 22 verse 13, where it says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. I have all of the supplies from the kit pulled out right here, and then I also pulled out my foil quill pen from We Are Memory Keepers that I am planning on using today. So I will put you all on fast forward. As always, I will link all of the supplies that I use down below. Let's go. I'm going to start by laying down just a little bit of color with this Distressed Oxide Tattered Rose. I have my blending brush right here, and I'm just going to start over here on the right, bring it over a little bit to the left. This seems to be my favorite color for this devotional. It just sets a really nice tone in the background and works really well with the colors of this kit. I will end up covering up the writing that is over there on the right. It is beautiful and actually very much pertains to my journaling, but I just wanted to be able to use some of the pieces of the kit. So I will end up covering that up. Now I have my page protector underneath, which is actually just a cut up cutting board from the Dollar Tree, and I've pulled out the stencil and my Foil Quill Freestyle pen. This is a very cool system that uses heat through a pen to then transfer the foil onto your page. And because it's freestyle, you can do whatever pattern, or you could do your handwriting. There's a lot of different options on how to do it. I'm securing the foil down with washi tape. You can see I took a little bit of the stickiness off on my hand first, just to make sure the washi tape would not tear the page. My pen is plugged into a USB port, so it has power. It has heated up for about 5 minutes, and now I am very slowly tracing the inside of my stencil. This is sped up by 20 times, so that just gives you an idea of how slowly you want to move your pen. And I'm just, like I said before, tracing the inside of the stencil. It's going to give a really light, fine, metallic look, a little bit different than embossing would if you did embossing ink and powder through the stencil. And this is just going to end up peeking out from some different elements on my page. These freestyle pens are a lot of fun to work with. They are really versatile because they are freestyle. There are some different applications now, or different versions of this. There's one that goes in your silhouette. There's now a Cricut foil transfer kit that you can get to go with your Cricut. There's a lot of different versions. I happen to really like this one just because you do have so much freedom. You can definitely stamp on top of the foil and then trace that stamp, and then it's like an embossed stamp image on your piece, but it really melts the foil onto there and just gives a really unique impression, which I really enjoy. I am not tracing every little bit of this stamp. It's just going to be in the impression of some of these fronds kind of coming out from behind a cluster of other elements. But again, this was really relaxing, great for holiday cards too. I just really like this, and this, I know it's going to come in handy as we get into the holiday season. Once I have finished up all of my tracing, I just very carefully remove the stencil and then remove the foil sheet, making sure my washi tape does not tear the paper. And I'll lift it up a little bit. It's hard to capture on camera, but there is this beautiful metallic feel in the background, and that will just come out from behind my elements. I'm going to fussy cut this card that came as one of the kind of extra journaling elements in this kit. Love the shape of this stamp that comes in one of the stamp sets, but I like the card too and the colors that the card brings in, so I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to figure out how I want to layer some different pieces. At first I think I'm going to layer this tag. I end up changing my mind later, and you'll see how that works. But I want to add a little bit more texture to this page, which is not something I normally do in my illuminated scripture journals. I like to keep those as flat as possible, but this one was just calling out for texture. So I took apart one of the paper clips that came with the kit, and then I sewed kind of a ruffle together to kind of anchor my page. and that tag just wasn't doing it for me. It was just too pink right there. And so I end up tearing paper, my go-to technique. If it's not broken, don't fix it. If you love a technique, then repeat it over and over. You don't have to change techniques. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you do a journaling page. Do the things that bring you joy, do what's calling to you on that page. And if you end up using the same technique with acrylic paint or watercolor or tearing paper over and over again, that is okay. And that's what a lot of artists do throughout their work. So again, I have my torn paper down, and then I will end up adding this ruffle. I'm looking for some liquid glue. I'm just going to use some Elmer's glue, which should be enough to hold it in place. I add a little bit of stickiness to the back just to hold it in place while it dries, and then I will end up nestling my other elements within that ruffle. So I'll have this piece right here, and then I'm trying to see if I want to add die cuts. I love these very graphic, very tribal looking die cuts, and I just can't figure out how I want to use them yet. So today's not the day for those, but I will pick some of these florals. I end up distressing them just a little bit because the stark white border just does not really go with my page. So you can see me, I'm just going to try out a few others. I feel like I need one up at the top of the torn paper to cover up that last little element of writing that was peeking out. And so I'm going to take my distress ink that I used on the background and use it to just distress the side, dirty up that white a little bit just so it doesn't stand out so much against the rest of the page. And this is where I will end up adding my title onto this card. First, I'll get everything nestled where I want it, and then come back and add a title in there. I like having it at the angle right there. I think that creates a little bit more interest, feels a little bit more organic than everything lined up perfectly on the page. So something to consider as you're putting your elements down is what angle are they sitting at, or do you have them parallel or perpendicular with the page? I do want to add a little bit of journaling, so I am going to include a tag here at the top. In the devotional for this day, day 5, we are reflecting on God's glory. And to me, nothing says God's glory more than the phrase, I am the Alpha and the Omega, because to me that is mind-blowing. A being that was there at the beginning, at the creation, and will be there at the end and through all eternity is just amazing. And to know that Jesus has just been woven throughout history, and that he's the orchestrator of the history that we know is amazing. And so I think that is part of the glory of God, because it just confounds us. To me, the glory of God is almost incomprehensible, which is why in the Old Testament you couldn't be present. You couldn't see God's glory without dying. That's how it was in the Old Testament. And today we are blessed enough to have a connection with God through Jesus Christ, but we still won't be in his full presence and his full glory until we are in heaven. So I am just adding my title, Alpha and Omega, over here, and then God's glory. And I will add a prayer on the back of this card after I add a little bit more of the foil transfer, adding my little apostrophe there. I'm pulling out a foil transfer sheet, and I end up just adding some messy blocks. Now, the tricky part about the foil transfer is you can't really see what's underneath. So as far as putting the blocks around words, I missed, and that's okay. You can see I'm moving pretty slow. This is sped up about twice as fast. So I just wanted some sketchy blocks kind of to mirror the shape somewhat that was down around the title, and then I'm going to add some around the word God's glory just to add a little bit of the metallic feel up at the top, just hints of it, and that will end up sitting up at the top. But before I adhere it, I do want to go ahead and flip it over to add in my journaling. My prayer is all about thanking God for his amazing glory, thanking him for the hints of his glory that we are able to see and experience here on earth, and that his glory surpasses all of our human concepts. And that pretty much wraps it up for this page. I have linked all the supplies down below if you are interested in checking those out. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. I hope that you have a fabulous day, and as always, keep it creative.